Hello everybody, it's Elagatua here again after not so long of a break. I told you August would be an exciting month for games and for recaps, and I have delivered the goods, and even more to be delivered after this still. But for today, we have got the Quack Cup 6 Semifinals. That's right, we are close to the end of another tournament right on the heels of another semifinal game that we covered in the previous video. We are going to be back in Fog Tags land. And in the finals of this Fog Tags tournament, in terms of maps, we're kind of playing the hits. We've got Scavenger today, and Scavenger is actually a map that I have done a breakdown of already. And this is this is going way back into the archives. I want to say it's been maybe 2 years since I did the video on Scavenger. And if I recall, it's one of the first videos that I ever did for Advanced Wars by Web. Probably in the first 3 or 4, I would say, that ended up putting out videos for. I think it was in Smacky Cup 3. Maybe Smacky Cup 3 round 2, something like that. Anyway, so I'll be linking that in the description. If you want your map review, we can go all the way back for that one, and I break down this map in great detail. But since we're catching up to speed here, I'm just going to briefly go over the highlights here. You've got this big diagonal chain of properties down the middle, and this line generally belongs to your player on the top left, and this line generally, in the top right. What am I saying here? Left and right? Who even cares? These, top right. These, bottom left. Okay? Not very hard. They're 5 in a line. And then the pipe seam, you want to break this eventually, but not too early and not too late. That's the map. And if you want more, go check out that other video, but we're not going to talk more about that now because I spent many minutes wasting my breath years ago to save us that time today. Let us talk about the COs that are available on Scavenger. We've got some tier 3 shenanigans going on. On the left, we've got our primary COs, and it's basically tier 3 minus Drake. So you're looking at Andy, Kindle, and Rachel being your standout choices. Lash also there. And on the right, you have tier 4 plus Rachel and Lash and Sonia. So there's some weird selections here. I guess we can start with the secondary CO. Okay? I'll leave this one as an exercise to you. Who do you think we should choose from the tier 3 COs? Let me repeat which tier 3 COs are available. That would be Rachel, Lash, and Sonia. Which one do you think we should choose in Fog Tags? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. That's right, you're picking Rachel, and so is everybody else. So you should not even think for a second to pick anything other than Rachel. You would be absolutely crazy to do anything other than Rachel. Maybe if you're totally nuts, you could think about Sammy for like a victory march to flip a lot of the contested properties or something like that. But that even would be pretty ambitious. Okay, so you're picking Rachel for sure as your second CO. And now on the primary CO, I mean, there's really only 3 choices that are viable. You've got Andy, you've got Kindle, and you've got Rachel again. And there's arguments to be made for any of them to some extent. If you go Rachel, you can go double Rachel, and then you're just dropping missiles like crazy. Because one of the big mechanical differences with Fog Tags is that you CO power or you super power and then you tag out to your partner at the end of your turn, and that basically clears your power for your opponent's turn, which means that when they counterattack and blow up all your stuff, then you're still getting charged for it. And otherwise, in regular Fog, you would be locked out of gaining charge for a turn while your power is active on your opponent's turn. So any sort of CO powers that do like global damage, or maybe really especially global damage is the one that becomes very, very powerful, because you just kind of fill up the bar, swap to your partner, fill up the bar, swap to your partner, etc., and you're just dropping powers like crazy. And if those powers are global damage, then you're able to maintain that at a lot higher velocity than you would otherwise. So Rachel, pretty crazy. Kindle Rachel, I mean, it's Kindle. Kindle is incredible on this map, especially in the center area. There's these lines of properties, and so when you have lines of properties like this, there's so many tiles that are just adjacent to properties no matter what. So the Kindle day-to-day power is going to be a big factor, and Kindle thrives on charge as well. You get Urban Blight, you get High Society, and you get the day-to-day. So especially Kindle, very strong in the early game as well. Getting infantry on those cities is very uncomfortable to try and dislodge the infantry from the cities, because then you have to put tanks or recons next to cities where they get one-shots, and there's going to be a lot of tanks on this map, and so you get tanks next to city, and then Kindle comes in with a tank. That's very challenging to kind of deal with Kindle tanks on cities on this map. So Kindle also very good. And then Andy's kind of a wild card pick. Probably wouldn't be my choice, but there's an argument there, because you know that Rachel's going to be the secondary CO. And so Andy's powers are kind of a counter to Rachel's power. You're going to get those missiles that go off, and then you can superpower and basically undo almost all the damage from all the missiles, and then you get your bonus movement, and it's a very safe counter pick. Now, obviously, if you're playing against like double Rachel, you're not going to be able to keep up with both missiles necessarily, but there's going to be guaranteed value there for Andy with the superpower. So I don't really think you can go too wrong with any of the three picks that you get for your primary CO. But I, in this game, have gone for Kindle because, I mean, come on. It's Kindle. I love playing Kindle. She's my top CO overall in pick frequency. And whenever I get a chance to pick Kindle in tier 3, there's a very, very good chance that I'm going to. She's just a lot of fun to play. All right. So I've got Kindle and Rachel. And in this matchup, we will be going up against a Rachel combo, which is going to be a lot of missiles. So let's get ready to go here. Before I start, let me take a moment to talk about my opponent. So my opponent is Kilmefirst, and I do not believe that we have played before. Maybe we have once, but I'm not completely sure. I think this might be the first time we've actually ever met. And it's kind of surprising because Kilmefirst is quite an accomplished player. As you can see from their tournament history, they have a very good record overall, and they've even won a trophy before, having won the Quack Cup 3. So that's very, very impressive, and you can see that their overall record is very good, and especially in Fog, notably, they made it to the semifinals of the Smacky Cup 2, where they lost against Rip. So anytime you're playing at somebody who's made the semifinals of a Fog tournament, you know that they're going to know what they're doing. And so I was looking forward to seeing what I would be going up against here in this matchup. And with that being said, I think we can just get this thing rolling. Why not? So me playing as player 2. And one little interesting tidbit about this map, this is something I covered in the map breakdown, but there's a little bit of asymmetry between the capture route for player 1 versus player 2, because player 2, which is what I'm playing in this map, the starting infantry starts from this base and then goes to the neutral base to capture that. But on the other side, generally, on the other side, you want to use your infantry from this base, capture the neutral base, because this one can go directly to a property and capture that, while the first infantry from this base has to walk 2 moves, like either to here or usually to like here, to do their first capture. And so what this means is that for player 2, the captures kind of going in this direction and on this side are generally going to be a little bit ahead, and the captures in this direction are going to be a little bit behind. So that asymmetry is a little bit unique to Scavenger. There's not a lot of maps where the pre-deployed infantry ends up being from kind of like the less optimal base. I don't necessarily think it's a big deal. I don't think there's any like turn advantage implications for that, but it is just kind of an interesting quirk, and it is something that comes to play a little bit in my opener design for this map. And we'll get into that momentarily. So, really standard stuff. I do always like going for this property first, because this is going to chain into to more captures on the front line more quickly, and it's also basically equally efficient compared with going to this property. No day 3 recon or anything like that. Just going to keep it pretty simple. And capture routes on this map are pretty figured out. There's not a lot of room for optimization, although I am going to be doing something a little bit different here. So I have a very specific build in mind, and for that build, oftentimes you would delay this airport actually a little bit longer, because it's kind of in the back and it doesn't really chain into anything very easily. But I have a plan here. I need this airport maybe 1 turn sooner than you might normally get it, and so I'm actually going to be sending this guy this way when oftentimes he might go like in this direction. Anyway, you'll see. Another thing that you'll notice is that I have just moved this guy down here, and I have skipped this city. And the reason for that is I'm actually going to be ignoring this city for a while, because after I capture this airport, this guy can go here and then here, and it's like kind of 3 and 3, and then I'm going to pick this city up with the airport infantry to give him something to do. Otherwise, this infantry is going to capture this airport, and then he's going to have to like hike forever and just be like totally useless. So we kind of left this property for him, and that's going to let me get to some of these properties here, here, and then in this chain. And we just want to kind of try to get to those as quickly as possible. The faster we get to them, the less timing windows our opponents have to harass those captures with early recons. And this is a little bit earlier than most people would be going for them. Additionally, we're going to go for a day 4 recon, and we're going to go for it from this base. Now, if you go from this base, you can get to the center faster, and actually you can get recons to this city in 2 moves. But I'm going to go from the other base, because this is the front that captures faster when you are player 2. And so that means that on this front, I actually really want to have a little bit more infantry just to try and lock down all my properties more efficiently. So I'm going to have like kind of a little bit suboptimal location of this recon. I mean, it can still get to the center. It can get to like, you know, here or here, I think maybe here in 2 moves. So it's still getting pretty far, but it's not getting on top of this city like you could from the other base. But that's why it's getting built from that base. Okay, so more just, this is completely standard capture routes. And I'm going for a second recon here. So the idea is, this is a very balanced, sane opener. Especially as player 2, you do double recon like this. I'm setting up for 9k next turn. What do you think I'm going to buy next turn with 9k? We're not really doing anything super crazy here. We send him to the middle, and we see a recon on the city, so that's nice to know. That recon has already moved twice, so that means that this recon was a day 4 recon from our opponent, and they built it from the strong side because that's the only place you can build it for it to be able to reach this city in 2 moves. So let's see, could you build it from the middle base? No, you couldn't build it from the middle base. So it had to be from that strong side base. So it just seems like we've both gone for very, very ordinary openings that are not super exciting, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So we kind of see each other, and now that I see this recon, I'm like, great. I could have sent him here to get this city, but now that I see this recon over here, I'm like, ha, there's probably not going to be any harass down here. Let me set up this guy, and I can either go for this city or this city next turn, and we're going to start to go for some of these more aggressive captures that I don't really want to have to commit vehicles to defend these captures. I want to send all my vehicles to the middle, or maybe threaten harass this way. Like, actually, this guy, my original plan here is to try and harass this corner with this recon. And so if I can get all these properties and also not send any vehicles down here, that's going to be really nice for me. And so by getting these captures quickly, and by kind of skipping this property, which is very safe, and especially like these two are a chain, if I can get there early enough and don't get harassed. So it's like, you can chain your really high value contested properties. Like, that's really a good thing to do. And then I go for the comm tower, and in a lot of circumstances I might want to delay this comm tower a little bit, but seeing the recon here, it would be pretty annoying if the recon just decided to drive onto the comm tower and be obnoxious. I mean, that would be a very, very risky thing to do, but it would also be very obnoxious, and it would kind of turn my opener face up, because you'd be on this comm tower, you see everything, and then you'd know that I don't have a tank for another turn because you're going to see this other recon. So I just don't want anything stupid to happen. I'm just going to take it now. And now I'm going to build a tank. We're going to build a tank from the center base, which is slightly suboptimal, because the most optimal base to build a tank is from here. But again, I want the infantry as much as possible from here, just to try and keep my opener balanced. And you see now 12k next turn, and now the airport has been capped, and the infantry is ready to move off. And you'll never guess what you can buy with 12k and an airport. Well, we'll find out next turn. Okay, so recon goes into this forest, and it might have stayed here, or it might have gone to this city. I think it's very likely that it actually went to this city instead. And the reason for that is, if you stay in this forest, and I had skipped, I think there's basically a world where I could have had a tank, potentially one turn earlier, and if so, then this recon could get killed in the forest, and for nothing. So I was like, it'd be pretty aggressive to put him in this forest. But regardless, we will we'll find out shortly where that recon is gone. And we build the copter, which is the whole plan the entire time. Getting that early airport, and then we're going to just get a copter very, very early. And then we're going to... The idea here is we want to time this copter for when we try to take these two cities. These two cities are the most contested cities on the map, on my side of the map. And if we try to secure these, we are likely to get attacked. And then when the counterattack happens, I would like to reveal the copter, because that is a great thing to counter into vehicles clearing off your infantry from cities, especially if you are Kindle. So I'm going to put the recon here. Unfortunately, I can't quite reach into the forest. Obviously, I'd rather have the recon here, but regardless, this putting the recon here basically says I have a tank, and if you put anything here next turn, I'm going to kill it. And that is a lie, because this tank was built from the middle base, not the top base, so it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't reach, but that's okay, because we're lying. And now I put this infantry here, and I'm like, yeah, I built a tank from this base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a tank from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, can cover this infantry, and it can also cover this recon. That is also a lie, because you can't reach. But my opponent doesn't know that, and so we are just going to lie. And by putting him here, this means he can reach both of these bases, or so both of these cities rather. You don't really want to be trying to take this one. There's a lot of bad things that can happen if you try to take this, because this tile here is 2 tank moves from this base. So you're kind of activating a tank potentially if you try to go for this city. If you go for this one, the tank can't reach. Tank is only going to get to like here, right? So, but regardless, I have the option, and I know that this recon can see me, but I'm really trying to sell the story that I've built that tank from that strong side. And then we're just gonna hide this recon. I wanted to send the recon this way. I wanted to. But if I do that, this recon is going to be able to see it. And if he sees the recon, then it's like income that he knows has been allocated a certain way. And so I want him to respect certain variants of openers and just keep some uncertainty about exactly what I've built. So he's just going to go out of sight behind here, but also being centralized, because I mean, it's a very safe bet that there's going to be some fighting in the center. So I just want to keep organized and consolidated, so I have the option to go this way if I want to, without giving anything away. So we see recon go probably here, so you'd imagine the recon's probably on this city. It's also possible that the recon is in the forest as well, because you can kind of do the silly like loop-de-loop thing. But one of those things is likely the case. Do some captures. I went for this one very aggressively, because now he can go this way next turn. And we're doing this capture very aggressively as well, with no support whatsoever, so we are very, very vulnerable to harass, if any comes. But the recon is kind of going this way, so it makes me think that my opponent doesn't want to be harassed up here, and is trying to make sure that they see any oncoming harass towards that side. And that's fine, because if they want to do that, then that likely means that there's not harass coming this way. Likely, not guaranteed, but likely. Anyway, so I'm just going to capture these, even though I know that regardless of where the recon is in one of these two squares, like you can see both of that, but I'm pretending like I've got a tank to back those up. I don't, but I'm pretending. And then we're going to put the recon here on the city. And what I wanted to do with this this recon was see, are there like any artillery? Because one thing, so my opponent saw me move the infantry here last turn. So my opponent knows I can either go for here or I can go for here. And the challenge is if I go for this city, then any artillery built from this base on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this square here is 2 artillery moves away from this base, which makes it very easy to get an artillery there to lock that down. And you want artillery on this map at some point because you are going to be wanting to break down this pipe seam eventually. So I don't want to just send this guy onto the city blindly. That would be a risk of getting ambushed by an artillery and losing infantry for nothing. So what I'd rather do is I would rather just put this recon on this city, and I see the tank here, which is fine. It seems scary, like, oh no, my recon sees a tank, but I'm Kindle. I'm Kindle. And I know that there was a recon sent up this direction, and so if Rachel wants to clear this recon off the city and have it be a profitable trade, you really need a tank and a recon and an infantry, because you got to go like tank recon here and then infantry pops onto this city so that Kindle can't get onto the city to counterattack. That's kind of the optimal way to do it, but it's possible that there's an infantry in here, but it's kind of unlikely. If there's an infantry in here, then it would have had to forgo one of these captures according to kind of the normal capture route. So I'm not super scared that this recon is actually going to get attacked. And you don't really want to start putting stuff on this city for the same reason that I don't want to put stuff on this city, because tanks built from here are going to arrive here in 2 turns. Now, that's not the build I've done, but my opponent doesn't know that, so we can take advantage of their fear. And so now we move the recon over here, because we see the tank here. We know the tank can't reach this, so putting the recon here is very, very safe, and this is just going to give us an idea of the capture timing for these cities. And we also do not see the recon, and so that actually means that the recon is for sure in this forest, because if it was somewhere else, we would be able to see it. And cheating, we can kind of see that it is in fact in there, but we knew it anyway. But yeah, so we see, unfortunately, we're not delaying this capture because the infantry are not close enough to get there, but we do see what is going on, and it does kind of threaten pressure in this direction. What I want to do is I want to be, saying, hey, you need to allocate some vehicles up here, because I'm going to send that recon up there and harass your corner. And if you do that, then I take my properties here. That would be the ideal situation. And so I kind of backed this guy off. Could have, played more aggressively for this city, but that's okay. And in fact, I think if we had gone for this city with this infantry and just kind of YOLO'd it, I think we probably would have been rewarded with a free capture, but them's the breaks. Regardless, this is not really our timing. Like, our timing is we want to fight when the copter shows up. The copter is kind of the surprise element of this. We're getting a copter much earlier than we would normally because of our little airport capture shenanigans. So the recon kind of moves up here, but no harassment happens, which is nice because I could only cover this city. So if the recon just decided to YOLO it and interrupt that capture, I would not have been able to counterattack, but it would have been pretty risky. to go for. You see that infantry go up there. And so that's going to get boosted by the black boat and probably end up here to go for this city next turn. But I'm fine with that because going for here next turn, well, I mean, I've already got this city. I'm actually, going for the corner. So my capture route is looking pretty good. And I've already managed to pretty much lock down all these corner properties already. And we're in position to take the remaining 2. Starting next turn. See the tank shift over here, and this is nice. So tank is basically saying, you got to leave, Recon. But what I'm really thinking is, wonderful, you be here, far away from especially this property, and also here. Because I'm clearly consolidating into the center. So we'll continue our captures here. Nice and efficient stuff, and now we're gonna go for this property now. Because we are all set up to do that. Let's see, so I put him here. Why did I do that? The reason I did that is because I know this tank can't reach. And this copter is covering. And then having this line here vertically means any sort of harassment on this city is you're only going to get 1 infantry attack to hit this guy. So you can't bring this guy down to like 1, for example. So, and it just gives you some nice vision, gives you an opportunity to see additional reinforcements coming potentially. But yeah, we're gonna back off. Now we are fully consolidated middle, and now Rachel has to decide, okay, am I gonna send infantry to interrupt these captures, and then I'm gonna put those guys next to the cities? Am I gonna sortie vehicles to help with that? In which case, then I've got to put stuff on the cities as well. Otherwise, the vehicles are going to get counterattacked from a city, and it'll be Kindle doing that, which is going to be painful. Or just send infantry in, but then infantry are likely to get cleaned up in the counterattack, and we've got a lot of infantry over here. Like, we've really focused our infantry in this area, so we have no issues kind of clearing off the infantry and then recapping the next turn and ending up with a unit count lead. So, and now we are going to be building an artillery finally, and the goal here is for this guy to likely go for this pipe seam unless we have some sort of urgent need to get him to the front lines immediately. And we see a wiggle here, another wiggle there. So that's an artillery plus a tank hit onto this pipe seam, which is very good information because we know that because this pipe seam has taken 2 hits, we basically know the last 2 vehicles that were built from this base. 2 turns ago, it was the artillery, and then last turn, it was the tank. And the tank actually went around here. So this tank is like a little bit out of position. If he had not gone to hit this pipe seam, he would be somewhere like here or here, and able to hit the city in 2 moves. But since he's here instead, he's actually not able to reach the city. That will become relevant in a second. We'll come back to that point. The infantry come in, doesn't get the roll on the city infantry, nor should he, because it's like, I don't know, it was like 33% chance, something like that, less, whatever the roll is. But so justice is done. We see a tank come in here. So this recon doing nice work, spotting a tank in here. And don't believe it's the tank that was up here, right? Because this guy cannot make it all the way down to here in 1 move. So we know we've got a tank here, and a tank here. So we only have 2 kind of tank slash copters. We've already seen 3 from our opponent, which means that our opponent probably only has the 1 recon that we saw, and that's it. So we kind of know a lot about our opponent's comp. It's kind of just all tanks, and our opponent doesn't have a huge amount of vision. And see this tank show up. This is probably the one that was here. And we do get this city, so this is nice. We've secured at least 1 property that's very contested, and the corresponding property on the other side has not been captured yet, which is nice to see. So we don't even need to try and interrupt here and spend unit count on that. We can just take what is ours and focus on the center property here. And now it's time to go. We are just going to dive in here. We see that units have been committed to bust down this pipe seam, and so we actually have a 1-turn timing right now where we can really just commit to try and lock down this property. And we know that if we commit this turn, the tank is here when otherwise it would be here. And a tank here can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that it's all the way back here. And that actually means that this forest is kind of ours for the taking. And we know that there's an infantry in there because we saw one go in last turn and then we didn't see it leave. So if we can find a way to clear this forest off and put something in there, it's going to be a pretty strong defensive position, and our opponent is going to be kind of not able to fight with the artillery, not able to fight with his tank for 1 turn. And that 1 turn is potentially all we need to actually secure this property, and then after that we can run away. So we're going to go in here. We always just send this recon in to fight. See another tank. So this is 3 tanks we know about. There's a lot of tanks. 1, 2, 3, and then we get the 4th one here, and then there's another one down here. So there's like a lot of tanks. But we're just going to clear off these infantry. 1 HP infantry, very useful. So he will be sacrificed for the greater good. But we're going to build our wall in now, and we can freely move this copter. The fact that we see all these tanks, there is no chance of any anti-air being here next turn. So this copter is going to be totally untouchable. And really what we're trying to do is we're just trying to figure out a way that we can build a wall for this city and be the least vulnerable to counterattacks. We're kind of anticipating that the tanks are going to come in and smack at least this recon. Maybe this recon, depends on how our opponent wants to go in. And if they do, we probably have to retreat no matter what and just kind of lick our wounds, because this is not a place where we want to take a multi-turn engagement, especially not into a lot of tanks. Now we do have the copter, and we do know that our opponent doesn't have any anti-air that's going to arrive here next turn, but every single turn after that, we're going to have to worry about the possibility of an anti-air showing up and making trading very, very inefficient. So we have this 1-turn window where we can be here, and we need to not overstay our welcome. Meanwhile, we will set up for our own pipe seam kill on the other side, just a little bit later than our opponent is going to get, but still not too late. And we're just setting up with as much stuff as possible. In the center here, pipe seam goes down. Infantry goes in. Tank retreats. 1 HP guy gets finished off. Another infantry gets finished off. And the tank retreats again. So really, really surprising. I think this is a mistake. I think at the very least, you need to send this tank in to at least hit the recon in the forest, because there's absolutely no way that I can commit to a fight here. This is going to be overextending because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, this line here is 2-turn tank reinforced now for both of these bases. So there's no way that I can commit to a fight on this diagonal unless I've obtained some sort of large advantage in the fighting, of which there has been very little so far. So I do not have that advantage. I cannot fight here. So this is too passive, in my opinion. You got to take those freebies because I'm getting this city. And sure, I lost some infantry, but I'd already cleared the infantry that were counterattacking into the city. So this is a very, very good trade for me. And I'm also getting the city. So it's like, it was just a good trade on material, and it's a good trade on contested cities. I'm getting essentially my most contested city on the map. And we've got it. And now we're out of here. Goodbye. So we see that this city is being captured. I don't really want to give that up for free. I'm just going to send in this recon just to see what's going on over here. And then we will put the tank on the city. We reveal that we built a copter hitting the pipe seam, but I don't really care. It's not... These are not stealth copters like Kindle builds copters. It's okay. I put the tank on the city, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give up this recon, and that's okay. But by putting this tank on the city, I'm basically saying, I'm never going to let you have these two. I'm just going to deny these forever. I got mine, you're not getting yours, and you're going to play 2k down the entire game. And 2k down, I mean, sure, I killed an infantry. If I lose a recon in return, I mean, that's like a little bit of income loss, or sorry, army value loss for me. But it's 1 unit for 1 unit, and if I'm getting 2k more per turn, I deem this a worthy sacrifice. Yeah. And so now we're just going to set up. We're going to do our little pivot. We've got everything in the middle. And next turn, we will be breaking down our pipe seam, so we'll kind of equalize that too. And then we just kind of hang out in this area. We'll have the artillery eventually reaching here, or maybe it'll be kind of back here, and just kind of lock down these two properties. And we'll be eating off of our income advantage for a while. That is the theory. Tank comes in, very aggressive positioning. Oh, come on. Come on. So unfortunately for me, drills the 34% chance to clear that tank off the city instead of leaving it at 1 HP. I mean, certainly there's a million ways it could have died anyway, because this infantry could like wrap around and clear it off instead. But then this square becomes occupied and can't attack into this infantry. So now this guy can just go into here. I lose an infantry. As a result, the recon comes in. This is a crazy attack, by the way. Yeah, so this guy gets attacked as a result of me losing the roll there. And this is a full commitment. This is a full commitment. But I mean, I've taken kind of a beating here. You can see I'm like 20k to 16k. So yeah, I took a lot of damage. Lost a tank. But this attack is an overextension. It's an overextension because it's going to activate this tank. This tank is going to be able just to clear this guy for free and get added to the fight. And this is the challenge against playing playing against Kindle here, all these cities, I mean, there's just, this guy's next to a city, all these units are next to cities, and this is going to be an infantry massacre. I'm sure it was a lot of damage up front, but watch this space. It's still I'm down 5-4 in units killed, but let's see what this turn is like after we're all done here. So first of all, move the tank in. That's just a freebie. Clear out the pipe seam. We got an anti-air, another copter. We go in here so that we can get some value out of this infantry. Take out another infantry. Recon goes in. There's that guy off. Tank. Artillery. Here's our tank recon. And then we see the artillery here. And this is actually a little bit surprising to see the artillery here, because I was expecting the artillery to have been built from this base, from here, and actually this is, by the way, this is why I forgot this little detail. So I thought the artillery was going to be here and clear the pipe seam off, right? And then it's going to get an extra move. And so I was assuming that artillery would either end up here or here to cover this city. Okay, and so that is why I sent this infantry in, because if the artillery is in one of these two squares, now I see it first, but I don't see it. So I'm a little surprised. So now I know, like, okay, I can send something onto this city and I'm not going to get counterattacked by an artillery. So yeah. Now we skip ahead back to where we were. Whoops. And so we see the artillery here. And I mean, that's fine. Like, this artillery is not really covering anything. It'd be way more scary if this artillery was like 1 square forward than to cover the city. And then I'd really, like, I'd have to probably put the copter on the city to kind of get around that. But since that's not the case, I can just send the copter in there, get some damage with no counterattack, and this gets me up to Urban Blight. And I was originally not planning on committing Urban Blight this turn. I was just going to send the tank in here and bring this guy down to like 1 HP, or 2 HP, because Kindle Day is pretty good. Seeing this artillery on the port, I'm like, it's probably worth committing the Urban Blight now for tempo purposes, because really I feel like this game is with this attack, like, I mean, it's 10-5 now. I've just slaughtered a lot of infantry. Bring it up to 11-5, do some economic damage, and it might be possible for me to even potentially lock down some of these cities, grow my income lead, and then we can just kind of snowball this thing all the way home. And ideally we want to do that before the missiles start dropping on my head, because that is not going to be fun. So in tags, you get to use your powers a little more freely than you would otherwise, because you know that charge is just going to be coming in very, very reliably. So we're going to go ahead and Urban Blight here. So maybe a little bit, it's a little borderline. It was really close to the, holding it versus using it, but we're gonna go for it, and that allows us to fully clear off that tank. And then, yeah, so now is our Neo Tank turn. I had kind of set aside income for that last turn. And having the Neo Tank out, not only is it valuable in the fights, but it also is going to help us magnet the missiles, because the Neo Tank is generally going to be, wherever the Neo Tank goes, that's where the most unit value is going to end up. And that will allow us to minimize the number of units that the missiles are going to hit. And now with 18K left, we're just gonna bait the missile just in case. I'm not totally convinced that he's going to be able to find 18K power on this turn. And I've switched to Rachel, by the way, so this power is actually not active. This is not real. But just in case, if the power goes off, I believe this all will get hit, and this all will get hit. So nothing here on the front lines is actually going to get hit if the missiles do go off. But let's see what happens. Tank retreats. Tank goes in on the city. Okay, but doesn't get the roll this time. Thank you. I guess we've had 3 city rolls like this, and I've won 2 of them, and he's won 1 of them, which is, I guess, exactly in line with what the odds should say, so maybe I should stop whining. But very aggressively in here. Sacks the tank. Anti-air comes in, and looks like he's going to get this thing. Has to sack this guy in, but does get the missile, so it's a good thing I set up for the bait here. Covering fire comes down, and I get blasted here, so my big infantry ball here gets cooked pretty hard, and then my Neo-Tank gets popped. So this is pretty painful. Like, this is a lot of damage, but certainly it's better than anything on the front lines getting hit. And now I'm pretty high on charge as well. So we're going to go in. Anti-air being on the city is very safe. Might as well get some value there. To clear off the anti-air, which let's use this copter. And this tank could only really hit one thing anyway. And now the unit count, it's 16-7. That's what happens. You take a fight and you lose all your infantry. And certainly I've got a lot of weak infantry down here from the missiles, but this is looking pretty good. Just get to trade that. Normally not a great idea to trade a 4 for a 1, but when you're up now 10 units, trading 1 for 1 in terms of unit count is not a bad trade. And then we're just going to send our infantry back. We're Rachel now, so these infantry are all going to heal 3 HP per turn. So we just send them on cities, and then they'll be ready to bait another missile next turn. More fighting. Get some tanks cleaned up. You're kind of running a little bit low on tanks. But largely this is a disengage. And now I've got missiles up. And I'm like, it's looking pretty good. It's 17-9. I don't really have the stuff that I need to clear these tanks off very easily. Because I've really only got these 3 units here that can fight. Let's go crazy. We pop the lucky lass because it's Quack Cup. You might as well do some silly things. Let's get some rolls. Kaboom! Recon finishes off the tank. One shots the tank. Amazing. So we cleared all those guys off. No, hello. So that's kind of nice to know that this anti-air was here. We didn't really have good vision down on this area. Unfortunately, we are going to get missiled again next turn, so now we have to bait. So I'm going to be baiting with this Neo-Tank. We're going to get hit like here. And then ideally we'll have some missiles go over here as well. Maybe a little bit questionable not going for the superpower, but it was fun. And also it is, I save charge, and then we go back to Kindle, and we're end up with like a full Kindle bar eventually for like Kindle Super. And as long as we don't die to like this missiles, Kindle Superpower into our own missiles as kind of a coup de grace should ideally be able to end this now that we're up 12 units. But we're gonna take some losses, and now our magnet down here is in danger. We're getting ambushed with infantry on this front, and we see a Neotank show up as well. Not incredibly surprising that the Neotank would show up. In fact, our Neotank is showing up too, and that recon was kind of overextended because this is a 2-turn-old Neotank, which is basically the same timing as we had ours. So, and then the missiles go off. So even though our infantry got ambushed over here, they did still manage to take 2 missiles. So it was good magneting, despite the maybe questionable decision to use Lucky Last, and then our Neotank gets hit again. So our poor Neotank is draining all of our funds in repairs. But what can you do? And Recon comes in, annoyingly sees the artillery. And we are back as Kindle now. And for what it's worth, like, we've got powers. It's not horrible. We kind of need some tanks. Like, these recons are here and they're on terrible terrain. I'd like to be able to get rid of them. But basically, we're just fighting at this point. And we send this Neotank in, which is technically within range of this Neotank, but we can kind of make a wall. And with the artillery, this guy's not really in that serious danger. We control this middle section, and because of the choke here, it's going to be pretty tough for the Neotank to get through all the way to reach this guy. It's not impossible, but even if that happens, then like you got to break this, and then you got to do something about this artillery too. Otherwise, the artillery is just going to counterattack the Neotank on the beach, and so it won't be that amazing of a trade. But we're just going to kind of disengage here. Regardless of whether we got a little crazy in that fight, bottom line is these properties are still neutral. So we've been up 2k the whole time. We're still up 2k. That doesn't seem like it's going to change at all. We've killed a lot of infantry, although we're not up 12 unit kills anymore, but we're up 9, which is still pretty substantial. And we've just made it through the worst of the Rachel supers. So ideally, if we can just kind of regroup a little bit, pull back to our side of the map, kind of heal up our magnet of infantry down there, we should be okay to take care of things. So now this is kind of an all-out infantry push, and he's got to find a way to flip some of these properties with this infantry push in the bottom right. We're going to be getting a few here, but only able to capture one city here. So not really any pressure over here. And I do have Copter and Recon reinforcing down here. So I don't really need to hold on down there too much longer. We'll have vehicles showing up there very soon. The anti-air goes south. But really, we see a lot of vehicles like over here. So he can't both be here and be strong. So my read on the situation is the majority of the stuff is here, and this is just kind of a YOLO infantry push, but it's largely unsupported by vehicles. So I don't actually need a huge commitment down to the south to be able to take that, take these guys out and prevent them from actually accomplishing anything. And also, these guys can never retreat now. So it's 4 infantry. They're really, really far extended. And as long as I don't let them capture anything, like even if they cleared up the rest of this infantry, kind of doesn't matter because I'll be getting all of them in trade as well. So just defend my properties. Send the recon down. Kind of annoying. We don't really have a good way to deal with this recon that's kind of chilling out there. Send this recon down to cover this city because it's pretty clear that this city is going to get capped next turn. But our recon will deal with that. And then we go in here. This guy being here is annoying because he blocks access to this city. And so like you have to either attack from here or you gotta find some way to get rid of this guy so that this guy can go to the corner, which might mean pulling this guy off the city. We could have urban blighted, by the way, but it's too obvious. I don't want to urban blight just for this one infantry on a city. It's not necessary. We're gonna save our power. We're not gonna do the whole lucky last thing twice. Like our win condition is Kindle Super at this point, so we're just gonna build up towards that. And we continue to put pressure on the center here. A second Neo tank. And build a wall and just be like, okay, I got my artillery here. These are never changing hands. So this infantry, this forces him to pull off of this city here, which is nice. Doesn't able to start the capture in the corner, but we've got that covered. This push is running out of steam here. To send the copter in to deal with this infantry, but that's, I mean, we're fine. Another infantry in, and then takes out a 3 HP tank by putting a full HP tank on the city, but that's in artillery range. That is, by definition, not worth. We see the Neo tank go into the forest here, so trying to set some kind of ambush. A little bit unfortunate, honestly, that our Neo tank is repairing over here. But he does see it over here, so it's not reckless from him or anything. So we're just gonna continue cleaning up this fight in the bottom right corner. We've got some vehicles arriving now. And we control the center because we've been winning the center fight the whole time. Unit count advantage, it kind of dipped down a little bit, but now it's going back up to about 9 units. And this is a pretty decisive turn in terms of the trade here. This trade was copter, infantry, tank for infantry and 3 HP tank. That is a very, very inefficient trade in terms of army value. And I've had the income lead the whole game anyway. And now our magnet's looking, it's looking decent now. It's looking decent again. Opponent could be getting missiles this turn. So here's our magnet. Here's our magnet. Just in case. And second artillery. Good, a good way to exploit the unit count advantage. Artillery force the opponent to do a wall break in order to get to them. And if you're down on units, it's pretty hard to wall break and also have enough units to hit all the artillery. So it's a good way to kind of exploit that. Exploit the good work that we've done over the course of this game. Infantry goes in to capture that city, but we got artillery covering that, which is now seen. Anti-air gets popped by a tank, but doesn't look like it's going to be anything more than that. It does look like all the vehicles are just kind of consolidating over here. So we know where the stuff is. And that means that we're free to continue just cleaning up the stuff in the bottom right. So all the infantry have died again, and now we're back up to 11 unit kills ahead, which is a very happy place to be. I kind of messed this up, actually. I was supposed to attack this guy with this infantry so that I could put this infantry on the city here, but we were kind of live gaming this a little bit. So some of the tactics here, it was not as thoroughly calculated as I have been in some games. And if this game was a little closer in terms of like the unit count, I might have tried to slow it down a little bit, but I was comfortable going a little bit crazy. And we send the recon down, and unfortunately, it goes right into an artillery. But I also see 2 recons on very vulnerable terrain. And I'm thinking, we send these guys in, clear out all of these recons. Fortunately, we don't get the roll there. There's like a 30%, I think, to one shot. But we do all that. This becomes an annoying place to be. And now we see absolutely everything with these recons. We know that we can kind of eat this tank for free. So, I mean, we're going to lose these tanks. That's the reality. But in terms of unit count, we're at 15. So we're really, really bleeding our opponent dry in terms of unit count. And we'll lose all those guys. And next turn, we'll eat a missiles here. Next turn, we'll have Kindle Super. And we can just kind of... We can either stall or we can go immediately into Kindle Super depending on what we see. But we should be in a position to close this out relatively soon. So this is all set up for the missiles that are certainly going to be coming to destroy us. Kaboom. They do hit our infantry down in the bottom right corner, 2 missiles down there, and then 1 on this Neo tank that has just been getting absolutely pummeled by missiles nonstop this game. But this Neo tank, the one that is actually covering this tank here, I'm kind of hoping that this Neo tank will clear off this tank, and then Kindle Super Neo tank comes in and will one-shot actually the Neo tank, because Kindle Super is ridiculous. But unfortunately, Neo tank going to be clearing off this guy. And I wish I had some way to deal with this guy, this tank here, because if so, then I could Kindle Super and I could hit the Neo tank there. But unfortunately, I just don't quite have the units to make that happen. But that copter is very, very, very exposed, and I have a copter of my own. I see a tank going here. And there's enough stuff here. And I've got enough stuff set up that we can just go for the Kindle Super. It's fine. We don't need to wait. We're up 12 kills, and there's going to be even more. Kaboom. I don't know why I did that instead of on the city. That was kind of sloppy. I should have attacked from the city. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, I think that was a luck roll, but already we've taken care of a lot of units. It was down to 2. We go see what's going on here. This is. We're just trading unit count at this point. Like, it's a 6 HP guy. It's like a 12k unit for a 7k unit. It's not the best trade, but it's not horrible. And it's really these artillery that are the problem. There's just not enough units to be able to deal with them. And anything that tries to attack them will get eaten by a Neotank. And we go repair our infantry. And we're probably going to get missiled again. That's how it goes. And we are now Rachel, so we are going to be healing a lot. Actually, an artillery shows up to hit our Neotank. I was kind of hoping that the Neotank would have to go in to clear the Neotank, but that's not what happened. And then the recon comes in and sees both of my artillery, so that's not ideal. So I kind of get cooked pretty hard here. This is not great. And then all of this, and then I get missiles dropped on me as well. Fortunately, these guys take 2 missiles like champs, and my Neotanks, I mean, they just exist to get smashed by missiles, but it's a little overextended by me. I get punished pretty hard, but I do have the 2 artillery. The 2 artillery are going to get great value this turn. And now this Neotank, I mean, sure, this Neotank is close, but this Neotank is 2 artillery covering it. Right, it's technically 1 artillery, but 1 artillery and a lot of other units. And now, finally, we get our own missiles after eating like 4 sets of missiles. Now it's finally our turn to set off our first missiles. Stupid lucky lass. What was I thinking? But we're cleaning up here. And it's day 20. We've been kind of bleeding a little bit, but we're up to 15 units killed above our opponent. This is a pretty stable situation. You can see this position is not getting broken. And that's the end. So, kind of a interesting game. A lot of fighting. This map produces a lot of very brawly games. But you can see from the board state here, after everything is all said and done, this one was it was over for sure. You know, two copters into multiple anti-airs. These guys were never going to accomplish anything. Neotank is just going to run rampant. And I don't really have anything to capture any of these cities with, but eventually these guys are going to get healed and they're going to go in here and then everything's going to trade. And this is only ever going in one direction at this point. I'd survived the worst. So let's take a look back and see kind of the pivotal turns here. So this is the critical moment here. So this artillery is actually built from this base. I thought it was built from here, but that was actually not what happened. This turn, you got to go in. You got 3 tanks. You got to at least get some value here. But I think he felt like it was a little bit too dangerous. Maybe respecting the copter too much, but I mean the anti-airs, like you send the tank in here at least. Even if the copter comes in, like you got the anti-air to cover. So there's really no need to play it this safe, and I think you'd probably be justified in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could maybe even justify putting a tank here to hit this recon as well. So like put tank here, tank here. I'd probably still be retreating. At best, copter here, or copter here, tank here to clear this tank off. But then it's kind of awkward because I don't really want to commit to a fight here along this diagonal. That is it's going to be a disengage at some point. So I don't think the trading would have been bad for Rachel in that situation. But regardless, I kind of got away with grand larceny there. And then from that point, so this attack here is just, it's way too crazy. So all the infantry just get crushed in the counterattack here. And once the infantry ball is cooked, you can't overextend on this map. The lines of overextension on this map are very, very, very thin, and you have to show a lot of discipline in this map. And especially with the Kindle day-to-day, it is just perilous to try and fight in this middle of the map. Like, look at all those city kills I'm getting. Then ultimately, I didn't even realize I hit an anti-air on a city too with Urban Blight. Wow. And I hit the Neo Tank too. Wow. So yeah, that Urban Blight ended up being better. I didn't even realize that I had hit this anti-air because Rachel repairs everything in one turn. So it's like, it's not going to be visible to me later on. But yeah, that ended up being a good call. And then next turn 11k. So yeah, that really stunted the vehicle buys and gave me some time when I was getting blasted by the missiles. But from this point, I mean, it's kind of my game to lose. I really didn't need to lucky last. Let's see. I mean, this magneting is pretty good, I think. So certainly, like, this is going to get hit if I missiles. And what else is getting hit? Like, maybe these guys? Oh, yeah, for sure. These guys are taking 2. And this is taking 1. Actually, it's this. These guys would take 1. So yeah, if I had missiled this turn, the counterattack that came this direction would have been weakened pretty substantially. And I think actually these 2 recons, I think this was supposed to be a big push this way, but then these guys were forced to go north. Yeah, the lucky last wasn't the play. I don't think it was the play. It made my life more difficult than it needed to be, I think. But well, it's for it's for the stream value, right? It's for the content. So we gave you some content. Rachel COP for a good video. All right, but that's going to do it for this one. This actually is a pretty cool milestone for me because this is my 30th consecutive tournament win. And that is outrageous. And not only that, but like we've got 2 grand finals coming up now. So we're going to be in the grand finals of the Quack Cup 6. We're going to be in the grand finals of the Smacky Cup 5. And I was questioning whether I should even make this video because guess what map is the grand finals of Smacky Cup 5? It's this one, Scavenger. So I was kind of sad that this game went pretty quickly. And I gave away a good build, I think, for player 2 in this one. But I've been doing this for long enough now that it's pretty obvious I'm not really hiding strategies anymore. Everybody knows my thoughts about this map. I've already made a video about this map before in the past, so we'll see if I can make that victory happen, even with a lot of information out there about how I think about this map. But it'll be a good one. And then the finals for the Quack Cup. So that final map is going to be on Stalingrad. So all of the hits coming out in the Quack Cup finals, and I do love me some Stalingrad. I'm not going to lie. It is a very enjoyable map. Certainly one of my favorites. Probably one of the, maybe the quintessential fog maps of all time. And so let's take a look at the other side of the bracket and just see who's waiting, see if we got any fresh blood that's going to be facing me in the finals. God dang!